Dallas Mavericks. What on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about their chances of winning a championship?
2. But it is not really because of Dallas themselves.
Mm.
It's just because of like what the West is looking like. I mean, Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, and Ja Morant specifically have just completely shattered expectations as far as what they'd be looking like. I don't think anybody had them being potentially the 3rd seed in the conference at this point, and they still have a shot to get second. I think first is too far to rank, but like they've still got a shot to go second. Like, and I love Luka. I think Luka is great. I think that him now being the only, I think it's unfortunate that it has to be this way because I always think that sometimes you need 2 stars to go all the way. But I think this works really well for Luka.
Before we keep going, I'm glad you said that because last episode I had a couple of people on my podcast and we talked about this exact thing. Yeah. Do you think Luka is one of those stars, those rare stars? Not saying he's Russell Westbrook, but do you think that Luka is one of those stars that thrives with playing as the only superstar? And I'm not saying thrive as far as, of course, ultimately amounts to like championships, but Luka seems like, from what we've seen, Luka seems like the type of player that thrives by playing by himself. Kind of like how Russell Westbrook thrived when now it didn't amount to, of course, championships, but when he was by himself in OKC, that's when we saw the best Russell Westbrook by a wide margin. Yeah. And we saw, now I'm not saying he's a superstar, but we saw him with KCP or Porzingis. Didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
And now that we see him, by himself, he's going crazy. Like you said, do you think that Luka is one of those players or one of those stars that thrive with playing by himself?
It's not so much that I think he thrives by playing by himself. I think Luka's play style is so unique that you have to have a very specific complement in order for it to work. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Kristaps Porzingis wasn't that guy. Yeah. Like, homie, like whether you want to say it's a crazy comparison or not, but Luka and LeBron play virtually the exact same way. As far as, I mean, obviously, Luka's a much more prolific shooter than LeBron is, but as far as IQ and the ability to put the ball in the basket, which is what you get paid to do, they play very similar, have very similar play styles, very similar builds. If Luka had a guy like a Giannis, who wouldn't mind just being a bully down low, that I think would be even better for Luka, because Luka likes to dominate outside. Can Luka go inside and finish? Yeah, but Luka likes dominating in that mid-range game and in the 3-point game. He just needs that guy that doesn't have a problem with getting dirty down low. And I think as great as it looked on paper, the issue was Kristaps Porzingis, not only is he not built that way, he's just never been the down low dirty guy. True. Like, he's always been what we've seen now in the post Dirk Nowitzki era of big men, of just the stretch big that'll play, all 3 levels and can score all 3 levels. That's what Luka needs. If Luka's with like a Giannis, or to a lesser degree an Embiid, like, then we're talking about him really being able to thrive, because he can do whatever he wants, but the defense can't commit to him because you've got that big man down low that has no problem getting dirty. I think that's what Dallas is missing. Like, if Dallas can get that dedicated big man that doesn't have a problem just playing old big man basketball, like what we saw in the early 2000s and the 90s and 80s, we've got a serious title contender on it, because they've already got I think Luka is one of very few young guys in the league that already has what it takes to be the number 1 option on a championship team. Mm-hmm. He has that. He just needs that perfect complement. And because he can kind of do a little bit of everything, it's very difficult to find that perfect complement. But if they can find that guy that perfectly complements Luka's game, we could see the Dallas Mavericks win a championship or 2, as long as Luka, because I don't see Luka leaving Dallas. I don't see that happening. So I think he'll be a Maverick for life. If they find that guy, the Mavericks can 1,000% be contending year in and year out.
So you say 2. I'm gonna go with 4. I'm only gonna go with 4 because they're on a stretch right now where I think they're like ranked the number one defensive team.
Yeah,
And as we saw, now of course you can't get a full scope of it because Golden State's not healthy, but we just saw them clamp like we saw them put Curry in a straight jacket for two
yeah,
games. And I think that Luka is one of the best players in the league. You can argue he's top 10, you can argue he's top 5. Luka is one of the best players in the league at this point, and he has a compliment of people. Like, you don't know how frustrating it is seeing that man Spencer Dinwiddie like go crazy when, like, what the hell were you doing in Washington?
yeah.
But
He was not looking good here. He just wasn't.
and it's I kind of feel it's a 4, but it's a low 4. It's not like it's 4. No, it's 4.
Yeah,
I think Luka's playing well. I think that nobody really wants to see them in the playoffs, but
definitely not.
that's just because they're going to be difficult. Doesn't mean that they can't beat them.
Yeah,
Not to mention you're depending on people like a Spencer Dinwiddie, like a Dorian Finney-Smith, like a Reggie Bullock, where his hair goes to his eyes. Like you're depending on people that I don't know how dependable they can be. Uh,
yeah.
once you focus in on Luka. So I'm gonna give that a 4.